7:40 in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee is celebrating its 75th anniversary this year, which also happens to be because of the postponement of the 2020 Olympic Games to be an Olympic year. There's even better news for the TTOC, as they have accepted an offer by the Pan American Sports Organization to vaccinate Trinidad and Tobago athletes participating in the Tokyo Games. Well, to put that all in context for us, we're joined by the president of the TTOC, Brian Lewis. Brian, very good morning to you. I know you were having a discussion with one of your technological devices a little while ago. Hopefully you've sorted that all out. Good of you to be with us this morning. Happy 75th anniversary.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning to you. Good morning to the team there, and good morning to your viewers. Technology is technology is it. If you're not up to speed with the technology, certainly I'm trying to get up to speed, but and then with Japan, they're 12 hours ahead. So our days at the TTOC, even though we are virtual, the most of the staff is virtual, but of course I need sometimes access to files because I'm not fully digitalized yet. So
before we talk about the vaccines, Brian, and I'm sure, as you said, you have to be up virtually 24/7, if not you, some member of your team, because Tokyo is 12 hours away. So when it's daytime for them, nighttime for us, and you have to monitor what is going on as far as the latest developments. And therefore, you would be aware that the IOC have recommitted to the games being held as rescheduled in July into August. The Japanese government has done so despite the continuing negative reviews in surveys and so on. At this point, you don't see any change from that?
No, as a matter of fact, I was sworn to keep it embargoed, but I would have been told that the reconfirmation would be coming out in a couple of days. As I said, we have had meetings that start at 2 a.m., which is 3 p.m. Tokyo time, 6 a.m. So yeah, we have always been aware that the government and the IOC were going ahead. And from a historical perspective, for the Olympic Games has over the years since 1776 BC, and then it disappeared, and then since 1896, when the modern Olympics came about as a vision of Baron Pierre de Coubertin and the IOC. The Olympic movement and the Olympic Games could really be called, I call it an essay. Essays, a series of essays under this topic, the theme, to the brink and back. So I'm saying this not to trivialize it. The fact is that it has always had some kind of a drama of different sorts with the Olympics. You may recall, because I know you're one of the people who pay attention to sport history, the sociology of sport. And for example, in 1988 Seoul Games, there was this whole drama because South Korea was still technically at war with North Korea, and there was a lot of hysteria, especially coming from the West, about the IOC showing disregard for the safety of athletes, etc. So it's not unusual, this kind of pressure. Usually, a couple of days ago, I was reading that, just going back and refreshing, because of course, for me to keep hope alive as the leader of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee with the athletes and the team, because all the negativity can be and has a mental health impact. So I have to keep people's spirits up, but I also have to not feel that I'm talking in a vacuum. So I do a lot of research and reading and reviewing and reminding myself. And I was reading a survey done, which showed that 70% of the media coverage surrounding an Olympic Games, especially in the last 2 months, 70% is negative.
That's interesting, and indeed, you often get these things. And as you said, as a student of history as well, you would be aware of all of this. It almost seems natural for an Olympic Games to have an issue whether it be Hitler's games in 1936,
Correct,
whether it be
correct, is
the
right.
Palestinian incursion
Correct.
in
In
1972
1972,
when 9 Israelis were killed, whether it was the boycotts of 1980, 1984, the African
correct,
nations staying
correct,
away in 1976 because of South Africa.
correct,
There almost always seems to be something. Now we have a pandemic, which seems to be a
right,
different sort of thing, but with
right.
more relevance to that, the Pan Am Sports vaccine offer, how much of that, as far as making it a bit easier to ensure that everyone is properly vaccinated ahead of Tokyo, how important is that?
Well, it's extremely important. I mean, I also have to look at it not just as the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, but also the president of the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committees, which are a significant grouping in the Pan Am sports region, the Americas. So, and it is a fact that the Americas outside of USA and Canada, the majority of the countries that make up the Americas, including the Caribbean, they are victim may be too hard a word, but they are struggling in the environment of vaccine inequalities and inequity. And we all have issues of one sort in terms of accessing. And the news now that India, because of their circumstances, will not be shipping any vaccines out for the rest this year because their priority is their people. So the Pan Am offer, which is and it's not it's 4,000 and it starts on Monday the 24th of May. You have to send in who the people you would like, but of course you have to go to Miami for it. But they are offering to cover 500 US for their travel as a reimbursement. But of course you have to cover all the other things. So we are looking at that, and I'm encouraging the Caribbean NOCs to also embrace it. And there's a particular context for that that's very interesting. So a couple of days ago, last week, maybe, with the Sinopharm vaccine receiving World Health Organization, WHO, emergency use approval and scheduled to come here, the Ttoc we had access under the IOC's national NOC vaccination support program. The offer made with their partnership with China, whereby they had indicated for every vaccine, they used the vaccine at an Olympic member of the delegation because they didn't want to impact negatively the national vaccination program. They would, I think, give back two. Right? That was under the Chinese. So we sort of accessed that about 2 days ago. And I had a conversation. I was contacted by the IOC representative who is dealing with the NOC's vaccination support program. And they clarified that there was a little bit of issue. What is the issue? The vaccine that makes up that particular program is the Sinovac vaccine, which has not received World Health Organization, EU, emergency use approval. So I indicated to them that with the government of Trinidad and Tobago having a policy towards that they're not going to use the vaccines that are not World Health Organization.
Brian, if you'd allow me to interrupt you, and I know there are a lot of thoughts going on in your head at the same time because there's so many issues. We have some commercial obligations to fulfill as well, so we only have just about 2.5 minutes left. Will this requirement to get to Miami for these vaccines, knowing that our borders are closed, will this present any challenge for the athletes who are based here or who are based outside as far as getting the necessary vaccinations done in a timely manner for the Trinidad and Tobago contingent? Is that going to be a challenge?
And I don't foresee it because we only have, to be honest, we have about maybe 4 athletes and a couple of officials. The majority of the athletes are outside, and efforts have been made through the NOC program to address this issue. Let me quickly say that it remains the IOC policy that vaccination is not mandatory, but is encouraged. So it's really up to the choice of the athletes in particular if they want to be vaccinated.
And before time runs out on us, as far as the whole issue of that discussion, and I know it's going on in Tokyo, and you would be aware of it, but in just in the 60 seconds, that say that, look, this is life and death. Olympic Games really shouldn't be mattering. They call off the games and deal with people's lives and safety first and foremost. And we'll develop the point at another time, but your quick reaction to that assertion.
Well, there are other events that some of the same people are saying the Olympics should be called off, that people are engaging and supporting in the bubble and biosecure. The IOC and the Japan government, they are working with the public health authorities, including experts, including WHO. And while people are entitled to their opinion, I'm sure that the Japanese government, we couldn't care more about their people's safety and health than the Japan government.
Brian, thank you very much indeed. And hopefully at another time, before the games actually get underway, we'll talk about the whole issue of protests and Rule 50 and so on, and that whole issue of being able to protest at the game, which is another talking point as well that I'm sure you'd like to develop if the time allows. Thank you very much for your understanding. And
you're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Appreciating our limited time this morning. And as we go to the break now, for some images from Tara Ram-Logan to take us to the break now. And these are some very nice flowers. Would this be some sort of double flower something or the other? That might be the dragon lily. I'm guessing here. It's the green amaranth. There's the name there. And there's the bachelor button, the white one, as we see these flowers presented by Ms. Ram-Logan. As we go to the break, and this one is the African marigold. There's the name right there on the screen. But when you harden and don't listen or follow the information that is provided to you, we see what happens. We'll be back.